It's PM, you're scrolling through Shein, and suddenly you're in that zone. A dress for $3, a swimsuit for $1.50, jeans for $5. You're not even sure you need any of this stuff, but at these prices, how can you not buy it? You check out $50 for what would cost you $500 anywhere else. You feel like you just won something. 2 weeks later, the package arrives. You rip it open like Christmas morning, and it's all there. Everything you ordered. Sure, some of it looks a little different from the pictures. Yeah, there's a weird chemical smell. Okay, one dress has the tag sewn on crooked and there's a loose thread everywhere you look, but it's $3. What did you expect? Then you find something tucked into the pocket of a pair of jeans. A small piece of paper. Some people have found notes like this, cryptic messages, pleas for help, or sometimes just random scribbles. Most are probably hoaxes, but some might be real. And that's when the question hits you, where did this actually come from? Who made this? What if I told you that $3 dress has a price tag you can't see? A cost that's not measured in money, but in human lives, environmental destruction, and a system so dark that even knowing about it might not be enough to stop it. Shein is the fastest growing fashion company in the world. They're worth over $60 billion. They're more popular with Gen Z than Netflix. And what they're doing behind the scenes, it's worse than you think. Way worse. Because this isn't just about sweatshops. It's not just about cheap labor or fast fashion. What Shein has built is something more sinister, more exploitative, and more unsustainable than anything the fashion industry has seen before. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that $3 dress might be the most expensive thing you've ever bought. Let's talk about what Shein actually is. Because if you're not paying attention, you might miss just how massive this company has become. Shein started in 2008 as a small online retailer in China selling wedding dresses. Nothing special. But in 2020, something changed. They exploded, and I mean nuclear level explosion. By 2022, Shein was valued at $100 billion. That's more than H&M and Zara combined. They became the most downloaded shopping app in the United States. Not fashion app, shopping app, period. They overtook Amazon as the most downloaded shopping app. Think about that. They beat Amazon. But here is where it gets insane. Shein adds between 2,000 to 10,000 new styles to their website every single day. Some estimates say 6,000 on average. 6,000 new items every day. Traditional fashion brands operate on seasons. Spring, summer, fall, winter collections. They design months in advance, manufacture in bulk, distribute to stores. Shein doesn't do seasons. Shein does minutes. Their algorithm scrapes social media constantly. TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. The second something starts trending, Shein's AI identifies it. Within 72 hours, sometimes less, they've manufactured it, photographed it, and it's live on the app. A celebrity wears something on Monday. By Thursday, Shein has 12 versions of it for $3 each. And the prices? Let's talk about these prices. A swimsuit for $1.50. A dress for $3. Jeans for $5. Accessories for 99 cents. It costs more than that just to ship something from China to the US. So how are they making money? How is any of this possible? And their target market? Gen Z, TikTok, the haul culture. Shein hauls became a whole genre of content. Teenagers ordering 50, 100, 150 items at once. Unboxing videos with millions of views. Try on hauls. I bought everything under $5 challenges. Shein sends free products to influencers. Offers affiliate codes. Pays for promotion that looks like genuine excitement. And it works. It works incredibly well. Open the app and you're hit with everything designed to keep you hooked. Flash sales. Countdown timers. Only 3 left in stock. Points and rewards. Spin the wheel games. Random discounts. It's not a store. It's a slot machine that occasionally gives you clothes. In 2022, Shein made an estimated $23 billion in revenue. They ship to over 150 countries. They process millions of orders daily. They're not just a company. They're a phenomenon, a cultural force. An entire generation's relationship with fashion has been shaped by them. So here is the question nobody wants to ask. How do you produce 6,000 new items every day at prices lower than a cup of coffee? The answer is hidden in factories in Guangzhou, China, in conditions that most customers will never see, in a system built on exploitation so severe that calling it a sweatshop doesn't even begin to cover it. And when journalists finally got inside, what they found was horrifying. In 2021, a Channel 4 documentary went undercover inside Shein supplier factories in Guangzhou. What they documented isn't alleged. It's not rumored. It's on camera. Workers at sewing machines packed shoulder to shoulder in rooms with no windows. 18-hour shifts, 7 days a week, no days off, 18 hours. Think about that. You wake up, you work. You sleep at your machine or in a factory dormitory. You wake up, you work again. And the pay? Workers are paid per item completed, roughly 3 cents per piece. 3 cents. To make a living wage, they need to produce hundreds of items per shift. Hundreds. Without mistakes, because mistakes come out of their pay. The investigator spoke to workers who said they make around $20 per day if they're fast. $20 for 18 hours of work. That's about $1.10 per hour. And they don't go home. Many workers live in dormitories on factory grounds. 12 people to a room, sleeping in shifts because there aren't enough beds. One worker told investigators, "I haven't had a day off in months. If you take a day off, you lose your job. There are 100 people waiting to replace you. The quotas are designed to be barely achievable. You finished 300 pieces today? Tomorrow, the quota is 350. They squeeze every possible second of productivity out of human beings. And the conditions? Workers handle toxic dyes and chemicals with no safety equipment, no masks, no gloves. The ventilation is minimal. Respiratory problems, skin irritation and burns, chronic exhaustion. These aren't side effects, they're the expected outcome. Then there's the age issue. Multiple investigations have found workers who appear to be underage. Shein suppliers don't verify ages carefully because, frankly, they don't want to know. A Swiss advocacy group found evidence of child labor in Shein's supply chain. Workers as young as 14 or 15 working the same 18-hour shifts as adults. Shein's response? We take these allegations seriously. We're investigating our third-party suppliers. We have a zero-tolerance policy, but nothing changes. Because this isn't a bug in Shein's system. This is the system. You cannot produce 6,000 new items per day, manufacture them in 72 hours, sell them for $3, ship them internationally for free, and pay workers fairly. The math doesn't work. The only way Chinese business model functions is by paying workers essentially nothing and extracting every possible hour of labor from them. The Channel 4 investigation showed workers literally falling asleep at their machines during shifts, being woken up by supervisors to keep working, sleeping for 4 hours and returning to the factory. Some factories had locked exits or guards, not for safety, to prevent workers from leaving during shifts. This is the stuff we thought we left behind in the 1800s. Triangle shirtwaist factory-type conditions. But it's happening right now, today, to make your $3 crop top. And this isn't one rogue factory. Shein works with an estimated 3,000 to 6,000 suppliers in China. Thousands of factories, all operating under similar conditions, all racing to meet impossible deadlines. Other investigations by labor rights groups found the same patterns. Different factories, same story. 18-hour days, poverty wages, no breaks, toxic conditions. Shein has a supplier code of conduct. It promises fair wages, safe conditions, reasonable hours. It's worth less than the paper it's printed on, because Shein's entire business model requires violating every single one of those promises. The speed they demand, the prices they pay suppliers, the volume they require, it's only possible through extreme exploitation. These are real people with families, dreams, lives beyond being production units. And they are being ground down into nothing to fuel a system that sells dresses for the price of a latte. That $3 dress you're wearing, someone worked for maybe 15 minutes to make it, earned about 45 cents, and then immediately started on the next one. And right now, as you're watching this, they're still working. But let's say you don't care about the workers. Let's say exploitation in China feels too distant to matter. Fine. Let's talk about something closer to home. Let's talk about how Shein is actively destroying the planet. Your planet. The fashion industry is already the second largest polluter globally, right behind oil. It accounts for 10% of global carbon emissions, more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. And we thought fast fashion from H&M and Zara was bad. We thought Forever 21 was unsustainable. Then Shein said, hold my beer, and took it to a level nobody imagined possible. Shein produces an estimated 1.5 million garments per day. 1.5 million every single day. That's over 500 million pieces of clothing per year from one company. 500 million garments. And because the quality is terrible, because they are designed to fall apart, most Shein items are worn once, maybe twice, then thrown away. They're essentially disposable clothing. Studies show that Shein customers wear their purchases an average of 3 times before discarding them. 3 times. Where does it go? Landfills, incinerators, oceans. Developing countries where our textile waste gets dumped. There's a desert in Chile that's become a graveyard for fast fashion. Mountains of discarded clothes visible from space. Much of it from Shein. And the materials? Almost everything Shein makes is polyester. Cheap, plastic-based polyester. Polyester is literally plastic. It's petroleum-based. It doesn't biodegrade, ever. That $3 dress will outlast your grandchildren. And every time you wash polyester clothing, it sheds microplastics. Tiny plastic fibers that flow into waterways, into oceans, into the food chain. Those microplastics are now found in every ocean, in fish, in drinking water, in human blood. We're literally eating our fast fashion. Then there's the manufacturing pollution. Textile dyeing is one of the world's worst polluters. The toxic chemicals used to dye and treat fabrics get dumped into rivers. In Guangzhou and other textile manufacturing hubs, rivers run colors blue, red, purple depending on what's being produced that day. The water is toxic. The communities downstream suffer. Cotton production uses massive amounts of water. Polyester production uses petroleum. Both create enormous carbon footprints. And Shein is doing this at a scale never seen before. A single Shein package shipped from China to the US has a carbon footprint. Multiply that by millions of packages daily, and you're looking at environmental damage that's almost impossible to quantify. But it gets worse. Independent testing labs have analyzed Shein products for chemical safety. They found lead levels up to 20 times higher than safety limits. Fast forever chemicals linked to cancer. Phthalates that disrupt hormones. That dress isn't just bad for the environment. It might be poisoning you while you wear it. The chemicals are in contact with your skin for hours. Prolonged exposure to these chemicals is linked to reproductive issues, developmental problems in children, cancer risks. Shein's response? Our products meet safety standards, but which standards? They manufacture in China, sell globally, and navigate between different regulations to avoid accountability. So let's trace the full environmental cost of one $3 dress. Petroleum extracted to make polyester. Massive water and energy use in production. Toxic dyes and chemicals polluting waterways. Carbon emissions from manufacturing. Shipping halfway around the world. Worn twice. Washed, releasing microplastics. Thrown away. Sits in landfill for 200 plus years. Or incinerated, releasing more toxins. Now multiply that by 1.5 million items per day, every single day. This isn't sustainable. It's not even close. The planet cannot absorb this level of waste, this volume of pollution, this rate of resource extraction. And here's the kicker, the demographic buying Shein the most is Gen Z, the generation most vocal about climate change, the generation that's supposed to inherit this mess. The same people posting about saving the environment are posting Shein hauls the next day. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Shein has started using sustainability language in their marketing. They have a responsible section on their website. They talk about recycling programs. It's greenwashing, pure marketing. You cannot produce 500 million disposable garments per year and call it sustainable. The words don't mean anything. And while Shein talks about sustainability, their production keeps accelerating. More items, faster turnaround, greater waste. If Shein's model becomes the standard, if other companies copy it to compete, we are looking at environmental catastrophe accelerated beyond what we are already facing. But environmental destruction isn't even the end of Shein's problems. There's another level to this that somehow makes it even worse. Meet Sarah. She's an independent fashion designer, spent months creating an original dress design, posted it on Instagram, got some attention, started selling it in her small online shop for $60. 3 days later, her exact design appeared on Shein for $4.99. Not inspired by, not similar to, identical, down to specific details, the exact pattern, the unique elements she created. She contacted Shein. They ignored her. She couldn't afford to sue. Legal fees would cost more than she'd ever make from the design. Shein knows this. Sarah isn't alone. There are thousands of documented cases of Shein stealing designs from independent artists, small brands, and even large fashion houses. Here's how it works. Shein's AI constantly scrapes Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, independent designer websites, even runway shows, looking for trends, popular items, anything that's gaining traction. The algorithm identifies what's popular, flags designs that are getting engagement, sends them to factories. Within 48 to 72 hours, Shein has produced and photographed knockoffs. They live on the app before the original designer even knows they've been stolen. By the time the original designer finds out, Shein has already sold thousands of units, made tens of thousands of dollars off someone else's work. Designers send cease and desist letters. If they're lucky, Shein removes the listing. But by then, the damage is done. And immediately, new stolen designs replace the old ones. It's a conveyor belt of theft. It's not just small designers. Major brands have caught Shein stealing too. Levi's, Ralph Lauren, Dr. Martens, companies with massive legal teams. They sue. They sometimes win, but the legal process takes months or years. Shein has already moved on to stealing the next 1,000 designs. Then there's the cultural appropriation. And this goes beyond just theft. It's erasure and commodification of sacred cultural elements. In 2021, Shein was caught selling Muslim prayer mats as decorative rugs for $2.5. Prayer mats, sacred religious items, marketed as home decor. The Muslim community was rightfully outraged. These aren't fashion items. They're religious objects with specific cultural and spiritual significance. Shein apologized and removed the items, but they didn't change their process because it kept happening. They sold necklaces with swastikas. Their excuse? It's a Buddhist symbol, except the Buddhist swastika faces a different direction and has different context. These were clearly appropriating Nazi imagery. Indigenous designs from Native American, Aboriginal, and other indigenous artists' patterns with specific cultural meanings, often representing tribal identity or sacred stories, stolen and mass-produced. The meaning is stripped away, the cultural significance erased. Sacred becomes aesthetic, tradition becomes trend. African prints, Chinese traditional embroidery, Indian textile patterns, all taken without credit, without compensation, without understanding. Shein has an ethnic section where they sell commodified versions of traditional cultural clothing, Halloween costume versions of real cultural dress. For communities trying to preserve their cultural heritage, this is devastating. When sacred patterns become $3 tops on Shein, it devalues the original cultural significance. And it destroys the livelihoods of artisans who create authentic cultural items properly with respect and understanding. The legal system isn't designed for Shein's speed. Copyright and trademark law moves slowly. By the time you file, have a hearing, get a judgment, Shein has cycled through that trend completely. It's designed overwhelmed through sheer volume. Steal from 1,000 designers. If 10 of them sue, remove those items. You still profited from 990 stolen designs. The occasional settlement or legal fee is just a cost of doing business. It's cheaper than actually designing original items or licensing designs properly. Independent designers have created online communities to warn each other about Shein theft. They share when their work gets stolen. They try to organize collective action. But what can they really do? They're fighting a $60 billion company with unlimited resources and no ethics. Shein claims they have policies against IP theft. They say they work with designers. They promise to respond to complaints. But the theft continues every single day because this isn't a bug. It's the feature. The AI scraping Instagram doesn't know or care about copyright. It doesn't understand cultural significance. It just identifies what's popular and flags it for replication. There's no human making ethical decisions, just an algorithm optimizing for profit, and humans in factories racing to meet quotas. So now we have the full picture. Shein steals designs, uses exploited labor to produce them, creates environmental catastrophe in the process, and erases cultural meaning. But there's still one more layer to this, because even knowing all of this, people keep buying. And that's not an accident. Open the Shein app right now. Just look at it. Don't even scroll. Just the home screen. What do you see? Flash sale banners, countdown timers, ends in 2 hours, red text, urgency everywhere. Only 3 items left. 8-9 to people are viewing this right now. 23 sold in the last hour. Every single element on this screen is designed to make you buy right now without thinking. This isn't retail. This is psychological warfare. Let's break down the tactics. Artificial scarcity, only 3 left. Maybe. Or maybe the algorithm just says that to make you panic buy. There's no way to verify, but your brain screams, I'll miss out. Urgency. Countdown timers create time pressure. This deal expires in 47 minutes. Your rational brain doesn't have time to ask, do I actually need this? Social proof. 8-5 to people bought this today. If everyone else is buying it, it must be good, right? That's what your brain thinks. Even if those numbers are inflated or fake. Price anchoring, item listed at $40, marked down to $4. You think you're saving $36. You're not. It was never worth $40, but your brain sees 90 off and floods with dopamine. Gamification, spin the wheel for discounts, collect points, daily check-in rewards, complete challenges. This is literally copied from gambling apps and addictive mobile games. Same psychological principles, same dopamine manipulation. Every time you add something to cart, your brain releases dopamine. Every deal you catch feels like winning. You're not shopping. You're pulling a lever on a slot machine that occasionally gives you a dress. Then there's the influencer strategy. Shein sends free products to thousands of influencers, not just big ones, micro-influencers, regular people with a few thousand followers. The content looks organic. OMG, look what I got. Real excitement, real person. Must be legitimate, right? Except it's sponsored, or they got the products free, or they're using an affiliate code that pays them for every purchase. They're exploiting parasocial relationships. You trust this influencer. You feel like you know them. So when they say Shein haul, you believe it's genuine recommendation. And TikTok's algorithm loves this content. Haul videos perform well, so more creators make them. So more viewers see them. So more people download Shein. It becomes self-perpetuating. A specific Shein item goes viral. Everyone wants it. More people buy it. More people post about it. More viral. More purchases. Here's a clever one. Shein's return policy seems reasonable, but the process is deliberately complicated. You have to request a return, wait for approval, print a label, package it, ship it back to China. Pay return shipping often costs more than the item. Most people do the math. This $3 shirt doesn't fit, but return shipping is $7. I'll just keep it. So you've got drawers full of clothes you never wear, but you keep them because returning is too much hassle. And you keep buying more because, well, it's only $3. For some people, it becomes compulsive. Buying behavior that's actually addiction. Spending money they don't have on things they don't need. It's only $3 becomes $50 orders, becomes multiple orders per week, becomes hundreds or thousands of dollars. And the target demographic is teenagers and young adults. People with developing brains, less impulse control, more susceptible to social influence. Neuroscience shows the prefrontal cortex responsible for decision-making and impulse control isn't fully developed until age 25. Shein knows this. The marketing is specifically designed for young people. TikTok, Instagram, influencers, trends, FOMO. And here's the most cynical part. Shein has started using sustainability language. They have an Shein collection. Products marketed as more sustainable, made with recycled materials or responsible practices. Out of 1.5 million items produced daily, maybe a few hundred are in this collection. It's a rounding error, marketing window dressing, but it lets customers feel good. I bought from the sustainable section, while ignoring that the other 99.9% of their order is still destructive. It's psychological relief, a way to keep buying without feeling bad. I'm trying to be better while changing nothing fundamental. So you've got artificial urgency, fake scarcity, social proof, price manipulation, gamification, influencer marketing, parasocial exploitation, complicated returns, guilt washing through green marketing, all designed to keep you buying constantly, without thinking, without questioning. And it works. God, it works so well because Shein isn't just selling clothes. They're selling dopamine hits. They're selling FOMO relief. They're selling the feeling of winning a deal. They're selling social belonging. The clothes are almost incidental. Okay, so at this point, you might be thinking, Shein is terrible. Got it. I'll never buy from them again. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Shein isn't an aberration. It's the logical endpoint of a system we've all been participating in for decades. 50 years ago, people bought a few new clothing items per year. Things were made to last. You repaired them when they broke. Then fast fashion emerged. H&M, Zara, Forever 21. Cheap, trendy, replaceable. People started buying dozens of items per year instead of a few. Now we have ultra-fast fashion, Shein, Temu, and copycats. Hundreds of items per year. Clothing as disposable as paper plates. And here is why it is hard to stop. Every fashion brand is now under pressure to compete with Shein's model. If your H&M and Shein is selling similar items for a third of your price, what do? You either lower prices, speed up production, or go out of business. This creates a race to the bottom. Who can pay workers the least? Who can cut the most corners? Who can produce the fastest? And countries compete too. Bangladesh, Vietnam, China, India, all trying to attract fashion manufacturing by offering the lowest costs, which means weak labor laws, poor enforcement, governments looking the other way because jobs are jobs, even if they're exploitative. International trade agreements and shipping subsidies make it cheaper to manufacture overseas than locally. The system is designed to incentivize this model. And then there's us, the consumers. Every time we click buy on a $3 dress, we're voting for this system. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. I can only afford Shein. This is a real issue. Income inequality is massive. Wages haven't kept up with costs. Many people are genuinely struggling. But here's the thing. Fast fashion is a poverty trap disguised as accessibility. That $3 dress falls apart after 2 washes. You buy another and another. You end up spending more in the long run on disposable clothing than you would on one decent item. And there are alternatives that are actually cheaper than Shein. Thrift stores, secondhand apps, clothing swaps. You can find jeans at Goodwill for $5 that will last years. Better quality than new Shein jeans that cost the same and fall apart immediately. But the real answer isn't where to buy cheap clothes, it's buy fewer clothes. We've been conditioned to think we need constant newness. New trends every week. Full wardrobe refreshes each season. That's marketing. That's manufactured desire. People survive for thousands of years without buying hundreds of clothing items per year. The answer isn't expensive boutiques. It's wearing what you have, buying intentionally, choosing quality over quantity. But the fashion industry is in crisis because of Shein. Traditional brands can't compete on price. They're either copying the model or going bankrupt. We talked about dead malls. Shein is accelerating that. Why go to a mall when you can buy everything for pennies online? This destroys retail jobs in wealthy countries. And it doesn't even create good jobs in manufacturing countries, just exploitation. Then there's the political angle. Shein is a Chinese company. Manufacturing happens in China. There are legitimate concerns about supply chain transparency, data collection, national security. Some countries are starting to regulate. The EU is considering laws requiring minimum sustainability standards. Some places are trying to ban ultra-fast fashion, but industries lobby against these regulations, and consumers resist anything that makes their clothes more expensive. Here's the bottom line. This model is not sustainable. Physically, economically, environmentally, ethically, it cannot continue. The planet doesn't have infinite resources. There's a limit to how much petroleum we can extract for polyester, how much water we can use, how much carbon we can emit. There's a limit to how much you can exploit workers before systems collapse. Protests, strikes, regulations, revolutions. There's a limit to how much waste we can generate before we're drowning in it. We're approaching that limit fast. And Shein itself isn't even profitable. They're burning investor cash to maintain market share. That can't last forever. So what happens when this model collapses? When Shein finally implodes under its own unsustainability? The workers who depend on those jobs lose everything. The environmental damage is permanent. The cultural erosion is done. Or we could choose differently. Before the collapse. Before it gets worse. Which brings us to the actual question, what can you do? So, is Shein worse than you thought? Labor exploitation that approaches slavery. Environmental destruction at unprecedented scale. Systematic theft of designs and cultural erasure. Psychological manipulation targeting vulnerable young people. Yeah, it's probably worse than you thought. The truth is simple. There is no ethical way to produce 1.5 million garments per day at $3 each. The math doesn't work. The physics doesn't work. The ethics don't work. Those prices are only possible by paying workers essentially nothing, using the cheapest, most toxic materials, stealing designs instead of creating them, externalizing environmental costs onto the planet, manipulating consumers into compulsive buying. Now, if you've bought from Shein, and statistically, many of you have, this isn't about making you feel guilty. Guilt is useless. Guilt doesn't change systems. Informed choices change systems. So here's what you can actually do. 1. Thrift first. Seriously. Thrift stores, secondhand apps like Poshmark or Depop, clothing swaps with friends. You'll find better quality for the same or lower prices than Shein. 2. Shop your own closet. You probably already have more clothes than you need. Rediscover what you already own. Remix outfits. Get creative. 3. Buy less, buy better. 150 pair of jeans that last 5 years is cheaper than 10 pairs that last 6 months. Do the math. 4. The 30 wears test. Before buying something, ask, will I wear this at least 30 times? If not, you don't need it. 5. Rent for special occasions. Need something for one event? Rent it. Services like Rent the Runway exist for this. 6. Support actually ethical brands. They exist. They're more expensive, but they pay fair wages, use sustainable materials, and create original designs. If you can afford it, it matters. 7. Delete the app. Break the psychological loop. If Shein isn't on your phone, you can't impulse buy at a M8. Learn basic repairs. Button falls off, sew it back. Hem comes loose, fix it. Clothes lasting longer means buying less. 9. Organize clothing swaps. Get friends together. Everyone brings clothes they don't wear anymore. Trade. It's free, social, and sustainable. 10. Question every purchase. Do I need this? Do I love this? Will I actually wear this? Or am I just chasing a dopamine hit? 11. Talk about it. Share information. When your friend posts a Shein haul, maybe send them this video. Not to shame, but to inform. 12. Support regulation. If your government is considering laws to regulate fast fashion, support them. Real change requires systemic action, not just individual choices. But here's the real thing we need to talk about. This isn't actually about Shein. It's about our relationship with stuff, with consumption, with identity. We've been sold the idea that buying things makes us happy, that new clothes give us confidence, that consumption equals self-expression. But does it? Do you actually feel better after a Shein haul? Maybe for an hour. Then what? The things that actually make humans happy, relationships, purpose, community, experiences, growth, none of those come in a package from China. We're trying to fill voids in our lives with $3 dresses. It doesn't work. It never works. So maybe the answer isn't just stop buying from Shein. Maybe it's stop believing that buying stuff will make you whole. You're not what you wear. Your worth isn't in your wardrobe. And the best version of yourself isn't going to arrive in a package. That $3 dress, it costs everything. It costs someone's health, someone's youth, someone's chance at a better life. It costs clean rivers, breathable air, a stable climate. It costs creativity, originality, the livelihood of independent designers. It costs your peace of mind, your autonomy, your ability to think clearly about what you actually need. The question isn't how can they sell this so cheap? The question is who's paying for it? And the answer is everyone. The workers, the environment, the culture, and ultimately you. But you're not powerless. You're watching this video. You know now. You can choose differently. And if enough people choose differently, the system has to change. That's how markets work. That's how culture shifts. We can have fashion that doesn't destroy people or the planet. We can have style that doesn't require exploitation. We can have self-expression that doesn't come at such a horrific cost. But it requires choosing, actively, consciously, every single time. So the next time you're scrolling at midnight, cart full of $3 items, finger hovering over checkout, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really buying? What am I really paying? And who else is paying for it? The real price tag is your choice. Choose wisely.